Welcome to Go Look Yourself, a bi-weekly podcast about streaming on the internet. I am Cherry Cake.
And I am Crunky.
And I'm Chichen, I guess. Hi.
Today's guest is Chichenlol. You can find him at twitch.tv/Chichenlol, Chichenlol. We aim to bring you regular interviews with your favorite streamers, find out more about the person behind the webcam.
To give you a more inside look on how they got started, what their goals are, and what keeps them coming back to stream.
Chichen is a variety streamer, West Coast, who plays games like Soulsborne series, Pyre, Darkest Dungeon.
Welcome, Chichen. How are you today?
Doing all right. Woke up recently, but I'm all right. How's everyone else doing?
Man, I'm doing really great. Thanks.
Yeah, I think we're all okay today. Yeah. Can you just tell us, when did you start streaming? Got you interested in it?
I started streaming, I originally started off on Justin TV, at least a little bit, like just a bunch of like random little mini streams I was like just kind of doing for friends, and I thought that was kind of fun. I started getting, way back. I don't even know if it was on the same account or if a different account. Honestly, it's been so long I don't remember. And then March, like 10th or 9th, I believe that's when I had my 1-year anniversary. Around that time, last year, I got into streaming. So I've been streaming for about 1 year and 5 months, I think. Sounds about right. So, been going for quite some time, but still not super long.
Did you initially start out on Twitch? Was that the beginning platform that you started on?
Yeah. I also had like a YouTube thing at one point, but really I never did much with it. And
Fair enough.
I just found Twitch stuff to be a lot simpler in terms of like getting content out there and not having to go through the whole editing process and stuff like that. It makes it a lot simpler.
I was going to say, didn't YouTube live streaming kind of come in later?
Yeah, that came in much later.
I'm new to this whole thing, so I've kind of retroactively learning about it, but that makes sense.
So you were talking about just then about the not having to edit part of the Twitch streams. What is the best part of streaming for you?
Community stuff is very important for all, just being able to like hang out with people and do these kinds of things. Like I wouldn't be doing challenge runs and stuff like that in Dark Souls and stuff like that if there weren't people to talk to constantly. Like that would drive me insane to just be alone in my head doing these challenge runs and kind of doing that kind of stuff. Also just being able to like try and put content out there and actually get immediate feedback instead of working on something for several days at a time and then eventually getting feedback and being like, okay, and then, see what I'm saying with the whole like video to
I know
live
what you
streaming
mean.
kind of thing.
I've hung out on your streams, and even in some of my own streams I've experienced where the best time is when you're just hanging out, chatting with your friends, and the game happens to be the thing on at the time, or music, whatever, and that spurs the discussion, the conversation to go on. Do you have like a specific goal from your streams after all this time of doing it? Do you like look for a certain level of audience participation or a follower count or anything else along those lines?
I am trying to like grow the channel, obviously always, just focusing on growth and trying to see how far the channel can go. I never really looked at follower numbers. I never found that to be the best indicator of like how well a channel is doing. I just mostly like, I'm going to look at A, how much chat's talking, and B, how much like viewer count is kind of averagely going up over time.
Yeah. Do you use any of those like Twitch services that give you a report at the end of the week or something?
I've noticed that Streamlabs added that soon actually, but I've mostly just been looking at Twitch's stats page and stuff like that. Every now and then, I don't look at it constantly because I feel like that drives me insane.
Yeah, I hear that.
I don't like to focus too much on the numbers. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine, dude. So of those goals that you set for yourself or that you're kind of leaning into now, trying to grow your follower count, have you found that what you aim to do today or this week is different than like when you started?
A little bit. Like I originally started as like a Dark Souls streamer as well. That was the weird thing. Like when I first started up with, at least like when I started getting like regulars at streaming, like started actually having a schedule and all that, one of my first streams was like SL1 Dark Souls. Like that was where I started. So like
Nice.
I've been doing that forever, and that like doing SL1 of every Souls game took quite a while. Like that took at least like half a year, I think.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely maddening to me. I love Dark Souls, but I think an SL run would literally break me.
Just for a noob here, an SL run?
Soul level 1. It's basically you do not level the entire game.
Thank you.
Yeah, Cherry's played some Dark Souls, but basically, when Dark Souls was at its peak popularity, there was a big following of people who would watch and watch these speedrunners never go to a bonfire. They would just run the whole game, like Chichen every night. Not every night, but often I've seen him play Dark Souls or Dark Souls 3 or something, and he does to see how far he can get in one life without dying. And would you?
No way.
Every time you start the game over, they call it new game. And you got to new game +4, I think, last week.
Yeah, new game +4. I got to the DLC, so I got pretty damn far, but then I died.
Yeah.
But
What? That was all without using a bonfire?
No, I'm using bonfires. I'm just not dying.
Oh, right. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, there's different levels of running. Like I've cut you off. But basically, there's different levels. Yeah. You can not level up, which is soul level 1, or you can never die. And if you die, it's permadeath. You start over.
And people combine these. It's like some people are like way crazier at this stuff than I am. There's people that no hit these games. Like they go through the whole thing without getting hit once. There's people that do no rolling, no jumping runs, and no blocking, where they just have to run away from the attacks.
Oh my word, that's insane.
There's people that do some crazy ass runs, and I love watching them. But there's a point where I'm like, I'm gonna work up towards that.
That was my next question.
I was gonna jump straight at that because that sounds painful.
It's painful.
BL4 Bloodborne was pretty rough. I don't know.
Yeah, I used to dream about doing speed runs of Dark Souls until I started watching some people. I'm like, I know just enough about the games to know that the amount of hours you have to put in to learn all the little precision input skips and things like that. I've seen you do it 100 times, but there's a jump you can do to get down to Capra Demon that it took me like an hour to do it once, and these people do it every day.
Oh yeah, I see people do that one. I've done that one a few times. I generally don't do it in my run because it's not a speed run, you know. It's just permadeath. I'm just trying to go through normally. But that's mostly for people that want to get stuff like Griggs. Like they want to get Griggs early so they can go buy magic. That's the main reason for that, I believe.
So what you've learned along the way is you started out with like a very specific narrow scope of one game, and that probably grew you a little bit of an audience, and then you started branching out from there.
Yeah, I did a lot of variety casting for a while. Like I was focused on that, and then I just kind of came back to Dark Souls. Like eventually it just kind of led back to that. Like every time it's like, oh, what do I stream? I guess Dark Souls. Like it's kind of that feeling. Like that's the one thing I always kind of default back to.
Yeah, it's my comfort game too. I play
it.
I need to I know what to expect. It's hard, but I like it and I know what I'm going to get.
Mm.
Do you play that, Chichen? Do you play Dark Souls for yourself, or do you play it for the audience?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I'm enjoying like getting better at it. Like because I remember several months ago I was pretty garbage at that game. Like I honestly did not think I was very good at it, and I've gotten a lot better because like I could not permadeath like several months ago, and now I'm at +4. Nice. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay. Just lots of practice. So that's got me a lot better at it. Same with like doing SL1 and BL4 and all that fun stuff and all the other Soulsborne games. But I also do it to like try and entertain the audience and, you know, do stuff like that. Try and see what new challenges I can do.
Okay, so we were just talking about Crunky mentioned stuff that you've learned along the way, Chichen. So what kind of steps would you recommend if anyone came to you asking, oh, how do I start streaming? What should I do? What advice would you give to them?
Well, I'm still not that huge of a streamer, but I do have things that like I learned early on that like definitely helped. Because there's definitely that like first few months of streaming where you just have no one watching you. Like absolutely no one. Like I remember being back in like the 0 to 2 for the first like 2 months, I think, of viewership. And those were really just kind of rough. But really the most important thing, I think, is just kind of constantly talking. Kind of going through what you're doing, kind of talking out anything. Like I would just bring up things I was watching or playing on the aside and just kind of bringing that up. Even if no one was really there and just talk about it for a while just to get my thoughts out there on it. Because
Well, it's like you never know when someone's going to come in, and if they just see you just sat silence playing a game, I know at least I wouldn't want to see that.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of people think that they're like, if chat's dead, that's like it. Like, oh, chat's dead, I'm gonna just be quiet the entire time now unless someone chats up, and it's like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah, you got to really spur the conversation on your end.
Like, sometimes there are times where chat's quiet and I'm just like, oh, okay, that's fine, and I'll just kind of ramble for a bit, see if I can get a conversation going, or I'll just talk about something else on my own end and just kind of go somewhere else, and if that leads to a conversation, cool. If not, I'll just keep doing it. I don't care.
Right.
See if it works out, see if it doesn't, you know.
I think that covered point B, Crunk. So do you want to move on to the next bit?
Yeah, sure. Sorry about that. Moving on. What would you say is your favorite game of all time? I know that's a cheesy question, but you've played a lot of the Soulsborne games, and you've recommended some really good games to me, and I'm just curious if you have one.
Again, that's, you know, the cheesy question, but it's not so much that it's cheesy, it's just that it's so hard to pick in terms of like how much stuff I really enjoy. Yeah, like if you ask me like what's your favorite game of this genre, I could be like, oh, this game. Like my favorite character action game is near Automata, Alameda, a tomato, I don't know. But that game's probably my favorite like character action game. One of my favorite RPGs is like Persona, and then like or like JRPGs, Persona, and then like favorite, like, what would you say Dark Souls is, like action RPG kind of thing?
Yeah,
like that probably that's probably my favorite of that area, you know.
Sure. Do you have a favorite genre, I guess?
I really like character action stuff. Like, like Dark Souls is definitely like one of my favorite games of all time, but I really have a soft spot for character action games.
You a big fan of like JRPGs then?
Yeah, but like I have a hard time going back and playing like some. Like I really need like a good one if I'm going to get back into it, you know.
Absolutely, it's a commitment sometimes when you're streaming and you've got the schedule to keep. You know, it's like that's 1,000 hours if it's a really long one.
Also, streaming JRPGs is rough, mostly because like I've kind of noticed over time that story-based games are kind of hard to stream.
People have to be in from the get-go where they're kind of lost.
Exactly. Especially with long ones. With short ones, it's not that big of a deal. But if it's something like Persona 5, which is a 90-hour JRPG, that's a bit more difficult kind of thing. Same with like Xenogears. I tried streaming Xenogears a while back, and people were like, what is going on in this game? I'm like, that's a lot to go on about, man. I don't know.
That's what I felt about one of the games you recommended to me was that Nier Automata, which is absolutely amazing game. But at any time, if somebody tunes in, it's like, are these robots having sex? What the hell is going on in this game?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that game's kind of like impossible to really explain to people like as well. Like it's just someone shows up and you're just like, okay, so the humans are on the moon, we're androids, the machine life form. Okay, I don't know. I can't explain this to you.
It's like avant-garde art, you know, weird for the sake of weird.
But hey, it looks good.
So
I love that story of that game, but still,
it is. I've like I'm in that position where I don't want to finish it because I don't want to finish the story. I want it to just be out there forever. So I know the answer to this question because we've talked about it on your stream before. But for the audience, do you ever game while you're not on a stream?
Yes. I do a lot of like multiplayer games when I'm off stream. Like I play Overwatch, PUBG, Final Fantasy 14, stuff like that off stream. Occasionally I'll play a single player game off stream, but that's mostly if it's just like I know this is a bad stream game. Like there are games that are just bad stream games. Like I was kind of talking before with like some story games, and like just certain things just do not work out well for like streaming format, in my opinion.
Is that because your attention's divided between the people you're playing with and your stream, and you can't give you the one full attention?
A little bit of that for like multiplayer stuff. It's probably one of the bigger reasons, I think. Also, just like I find it easier to focus when I'm doing stuff like that off stream. Like if I'm playing Overwatch, I'm doing competitive, I want to, you know, be more focused than like, oh, I have to divide my attention between the game and the chat.
I completely understand what you mean. I stream PUBG, and there's times where I'll all of a sudden realize that there's 2 pages of chat I didn't read, and I'm like, wait a minute, that's bad streamer.
Like, I'm doing permadeath Dark Souls, and I'm still keeping up with chat pretty decently. So it's one of those things, but there are slow moments in that game where I'm just kind of able to go, like, okay, let's go through stuff, you know?
Waiting on an elevator or something, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, even during boss fights, I'm able to read stuff, at least in the earlier new games.
Yeah, I've seen, especially some of the earlier bosses. Was it Gaping Dragon? You just sit there and nonchalantly read chat while you're whipping the hell out of that dude's face.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
because it's
really?
so slow. It's just so slow.
Are you mainly a PC gamer, Chichen?
Mostly. I just did get a new capture card yesterday, so I'm gonna be actually doing some Bloodborne and stuff. I do a lot of other stuff, like I have a Switch, I have a PS4, I have a 360, PS3, all that stuff.
Is there
But
any one thing that you prefer?
I do definitely prefer PC gaming. Like I prefer that almost every day of the week. The only time is like if my PC has like a weird issue with a game, or if the game's not well optimized for PC, then I'll probably play it on console.
Are you specifically talking about No Man's Sky?
No, I've never played No Man's Sky.
I just got it. It's driving me crazy. It's like 24 frames per second.
Really?
I have not really debugged it.
Damn.
So it could be something stupid I'm doing.
I don't know much about that game in general. Like I followed it for a while and then went, oh, this game's not going to be good, is it? And then it turned out bad. I was like,
No.
I know they put out that update and it's apparently a lot better now, but as well, I'm just like, meh.
Well, what it was is it came out last week. I think it was like $24 on sale, and I said if it was a $25 game when it came out, I'd probably try it. That's why.
Yeah.
It should have started that.
Go ahead, Cherry. I'm sorry.
I was it should have started at that. It should never have been like, what was it, 40 quid for us? I don't know how much it was for you guys.
It was $60 here.
Yeah, it
should never. No way has been as much as that ever.
I think one of the things with that is that it kind of started as a as like an indie kind of thing, and it was probably going to be around like $30-40, and then something happened where Sony realized how successful that was doing and was like, yo, market this as a real fucking video game, let's go. And then,
exactly what Crunk said in it. Was it when were you streaming it, Crunk?
Saturday.
It's exactly what you said.
Yeah, it screams that, because they oversold it quite a bit in the marketing spin, and some of the things that they promised are actually coming now, but it has been a year since it came out.
Yeah,
no two ways about it. They've misled consumers, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was just kind of disappointing to hear all that, especially because I was somewhat interested in it, but I was like, I'll wait for reviews and what friends say about it, and then just everyone's like, it's all right. I'm just like,
yeah. I could tell you, if you're a PC player, use your controller on it, because it's made for a controller. If you try to use a keyboard mouse, you blow your brains out. It's annoying. But moving on, I could talk shit about No Man's Sky all day.
No, please don't. I like that game.
Cherry likes it. It's okay, and there's nothing wrong with liking the game at all. It's just I think for me specifically, and probably for a wide variety of the negative impact it got, expectations versus reality, where there was a huge gap.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, it was not what people expected it to be. Is I think the biggest issue.
Yeah.
So way back a year and a half ago, before you started streaming, did you have streamers that you looked up to, that you followed, that inspired you?
I used to watch a lot of Man vs. Game, Dan's Gaming, Lethal Frag, variety of like big streamers. I didn't really watch that many smaller streamers at the time.
Right.
I was also just watching a variety of other streamers that are doing like Dark Souls challenge runs and stuff like that. I was like, I could do stuff like that, maybe. I don't know.
Like the speedrun types, or just the different guy? Because I noticed you don't actually do speed, you do more of the challenge stuff.
Yeah. Watching a variety of Dark Souls casters like Lutovsky, Cherno, just a bunch of people, like just Lobos, of course.
Yeah.
Watching all those streamers just do all these crazy runs, I'm like, I could do something similar, maybe. Let's see how this goes if I just keep spending time with it.
Well, given that, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Like I've recently noticed from like back before I started streaming, I probably had like 100 to maybe 200 max hours in Dark Souls 1, and now I probably have somewhere near 900 to 1,000. And a lot of those hours have been over the recent last 3 months.
Yeah, because you're streaming a good 5-6 hours a night that I've seen.
Yeah, with Dark Souls especially, and it's it's definitely gone up a lot with Dark Souls recently. Like it was not this much so far back, especially because I was so split doing all the SO1 challenges. I was playing every Souls game,
That's got to be hell on your muscle memory too, because they're slightly different.
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit worried to play a little bit of Bloodborne soon and then go back to Dark Souls, but I'm sure I'll be fine. We'll be okay.
You play Bloodborne, you go back to Dark Souls, and you'll want to two-hand everything and not...
And I'll be like, where the hell's my healing mechanic? What the fuck?
Right. So are there specific game designers or development houses that you like FromSoft or maybe Square Enix that you prefer and you trust explicitly? You're usually
yeah, FromSoft, Platinum Games, some developers out there I really like are Yoko Taro and who made Nier and all that, and Platinum Games is really high up there because they make a lot of really great character action games.
Just and the guys that wear weird masks, right?
Yeah, basically. You gotta have a weird moon on head.
That's for another story.
So the Yoko Taro is the guy who developed the lead developer on Nier, and he wears the mask from that series of games in public all the time. Has he ever shown his face?
Yeah, there's video of it. You can go find it if you look hard enough. But every video of him is him wearing that mask, rolling around on the floor, screaming "Shit, Square Enix."
Yeah. So if you ever need a clue as to why Nier is so completely batshit crazy, say the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
And it still feels like they're holding him back whenever he tries to do anything.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna let you be a little nuts, but hey, come on.
Because if you've ever seen the story of the original Drakengard and you just look at him, you're like, oh
That's
man.
Why. Yeah, you recommended a bunch of videos to me before I bought.
Yeah,
I watched.
Verklempt.
Yeah, Verklempt, and I went down this huge rabbit hole and watched 4 hours of them before I bought Nier, and I was by the end, I'm buying this game. I don't care if it is $60.
The first video of the Drakengard stuff is kind of insane. By the end, you're just like, what is this video game? And the fact that Nier is based off of a joke ending is the best. It's a really difficult joke ending, but it's the real ending, I guess.
So they're for people who don't know, the guys who made Nier, what's his name again, Chich?
Yoko Taro.
Hero has a penchant for making these crazy multiple endings. Nier Automata has 126, I think.
And it's every letter of the alphabet, A through
Okay.
C.
So one of the endings, when Chichen was on my stream, he goes, hey, do me a favor. You want to see one of the endings right now? I go, sure. He goes, take your main chip out of your robot's head and you get a game over screen and credits.
Oh, I remember you doing that. I saw you do that.
That was awesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff like that in those games. But that wasn't exactly how you got the joke ending in the Drakengard games. It was an actual play through the game, get the thing kind of thing, an actual ending.
Oh wow!
But it was the hardest ending as well. You had to do bullet hell stuff at the end. It was crazy. I never personally did it, but just watching someone do it, I was like, oh wow, that's dumb.
So just to bring it back around to streaming and Twitch, Chichen, have you got any long-term goals that you want to achieve, whether it be a follower count or a partnership maybe?
Yeah, I'm still aiming for partnership. The affiliate thing's been nice, but I'm still aiming for the partnership, get more emote slots, put out more content, upgrade the stream some more through, that kind of stuff. Just put a lot of work into it.
Do you have a time frame of when you think you will achieve it?
Not really. It's one of those things where everything's kind of constantly in flux, and it's hard to determine exactly when that kind of thing is going to happen.
Well, especially when your cheese get moved. They with the affiliate program, that goal got a little harder to achieve. I think.
It's about 70 viewers now, isn't it?
I've heard something anywhere from 80 to 100 viewers constantly, but I'm not 100% sure. I think it's different per what game you're playing. I think if you can bring in a good sized community to a certain game, I think they also look at that. I think they look at the type of content you create as well. I don't think it's 100% viewer count.
Yeah, there's definitely a committee of people, from what I've seen and heard, and this is all conjecture and hearsay. They have a committee of partners that do exactly like you say, Chichen. They want to grow laterally too. So it's not all about the numbers. You also, if you provide something a little bit different, special that enough people view as unique, they'll let you in even if you're not quite at the metrics they're looking for.
Yeah. They'll let you in if like you have a very like interesting cast, or if you do something different like a challenge thing or speed running, like stuff like that. I think that does help a lot for like getting yourself partnered probably. So I don't know. I never aimed for that kind of thing. Like I just kind of did challenge runs because I thought that'd be the most entertaining thing to kind of start with,
Absolutely.
So,
on your way there, what benefits have you found from streaming? I mean, has there been anything that you found in your real life? I don't know if you have a regular job on top of that, or that you find you didn't expect to impact your real life in a positive way.
I mostly work from home and do some like side stuff for my family's business and all that. So I don't really go out and do much for that. But I have noticed that it has helped me with like conversations and speaking in public and stuff like that. I'm honestly a bit more shy in person than I am in like streaming and stuff like that. But it actually has helped me a bit with that in terms of actually going out and talking to people and like holding a good conversation. Yeah, a little bit out of the shell.
That's cool. I found the similar thing, and I know in talking with other streamers, a lot of people find that it helps a little bit with their confidence and to a lesser extent work ethic.
Yeah.
So on like if we were just talking about the benefits there, what kind of negative impact has it had on your real life?
Even less of a social life, I guess. Lots of sitting, gotta move around a lot because streaming for 6+ hours a day can be not great for that kind of thing. Definitely a lot of like health stuff you gotta pay attention to, mental health stuff. Stuff like that. Just trying to not demotivate yourself is also kind of important for stuff like this, because there are days where you're just like, why am I even doing this? But like, what's the point? And then you just gotta kind of get through that. It's a long process.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that I think is very good, key to hit on for new streamers too, is that when everything's new and exciting and fun and for the first time, it's great. And it's easy to sit through one where you've got just a couple of people watching. But after a couple of months of it and you haven't seen the sun in 3 days because you did a 24-hour stream and you're a little bit jet lagged from not sleeping, it can be real easy to go down a rabbit hole.
Yep.
Or so I've been told.
Yeah, I've done one 24-hour stream, and that was way back when I was like actually doing like follower goal things and stuff like that.
Right.
Because I was like, back then I was like, oh yeah, follower goal. Again, like I said, I stopped thinking of follower count as important. Like I still see it as kind of a number that helps you determine how well your channel's doing. But ever since the overflow thing, I've also seen it as like very unimportant. Like ever since the new mobile app thing that has a survey that asks you like what kind of games you like and then follows channels based on those games. I've noticed a 1,500 follower increase within like 3 weeks.
Wow.
So kind of devalues how special it is when you get 100 in an hour.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're not really there.
Down. Well, again, I do appreciate them because it might bring in like new people and exposure and all that stuff. But I have had to like turn off the alerts and stuff like that, mostly because it was just getting obnoxious, constantly seeing it pop up in the corner. Like it's nice to have those names pop up and stuff like that, but I also see it as like it is constantly just going,
Right. You almost have to stop acknowledging them after a while.
You really are fond of chatting with me, aren't you? If I didn't know better, I'd think you had feelings for me. Oh no, dear me, pretend you didn't hear that.
So, for those that don't know, Fortnite is a new game. I think, Crunk, you probably know more about it than me, but from what I can tell, it is a building game. You have to build essentially a fort with other gamers and defend it from zombies. So, Chichen, what are your actual thoughts on Fortnite?
I give that game. I've not played much so far. I played about, I think 6-7 hours of it. I was gifted it from a friend of the stream. Tried it out for a while. It's definitely a good game, and I'm definitely going to play more of it. I just haven't had much time. The main issue I have with that game so far is that it is really hard to figure out just random stuff in it. Like, it seems really simple at first. They're like, oh, build this wall, build this thing. And then you go into the menus and the game stops making sense.
Yeah,
like
I was
the menus...
watching you stream it the other day, and I think I watched you and maybe a couple of people, because I have a friend of mine who's really pushing it on me to play with it.
Mhm.
And about 45 minutes of a couple of different streams has just been them in the menus trying to figure out what the hell to do.
Yeah, the menus are very confusing because there's so many different like systems. And that can be good, but it's also one of those things where it's like, okay, now you gotta set your squad people. I'm like, my what? And it's like, now you have to go through here and figure out what every weapon's built from, figure out what makes that. And I was like, what is this icon? I tried hovering over it and it won't tell me what this item is. I'm like, okay, I guess I don't know what that item is.
You're not supposed to know yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And
is it in early access, or is it actually like full release?
It's early access. I believe it's going to be free to play at some point.
Like, I've heard that, yeah.
I believe it's starting as like a founder thing where like you get it now and it's like the founder edition. And then after a while, like in a year or two, it's going to be the full release. And that game has been in development forever. Like, I remember hearing about this years ago, like 6 years ago or something. No, 6.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I heard about it 2 years ago.
I'm double checking this. Fortnite original trailer. I'm looking this up.
That's cool. Yeah, I read about it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That looks interesting.
December 8, 2011.
Wow.
Nice. That's awesome.
I believe it was originally being made for Unreal Engine 3, and then they moved it over to 4, I think.
Is that why they've fallen down then?
What?
Is that why it's been taken so long to produce it? So because they've
maybe it might be a bit of that, a bit of like, hey, we put this on the back burner and we're working on something else. I don't know. It seems like it's a mix of things. I wouldn't just say it's, just that.
So as a game, do you think it has lasting appeal? Or like, I haven't played any of this game of Fortnite, so you guys know better than me.
I think it has some. Again, like a lot of that stuff has to be fixed for like new people to get into it, I think, because a lot of that's super confusing. Yeah. But it is a fun game, especially with friends. I don't think playing it single player or like solo with other people is all that entertaining. But playing with like 3 friends, I think, is a good time. Like, it's the same as like Borderlands or Left 4 Dead or something like that, where it's like kind of miserable if you're playing it by yourself, but enjoyable if you're playing with friends. I also think that game's actually pretty nice looking. Like
it does the art style of it.
And I like how the husks look with their skulls popping out with their heads pulled back like their hoods, and I like that design a lot. In terms of gameplay, it is somewhat generic, but also kind of fun. I don't know. I think the game just needs a few things and it'll be a pretty good game. Especially, like, again, I'm not a big fan of free-to-play with microtransaction stuff. I've kind of gotten tired of that. Especially because it kind of seems to be somewhat stat-based in that game, and I've never been a big fan of stuff like that. Like, I used to play a lot of Dota 2, and that game, I think, did it the best at the time. Where it's just, oh, hey, everything's unlocked. All 100, etc. characters are just free to play. Go play. If you want cosmetics, then you pay money. Like, that was it. That's the best way of doing it.
I've played, the only MOBA I've ever played with any length of time was Dota 2 for that reason.
You turn your players into addicts, and then you get their money from cosmetics.
Exactly.
That's how you do it. You don't just assume everyone's going to be a straight up addict and buy all the characters immediately. You just wait.
Give them a little taste.
You give them the full meal, and then you go, oh, but here's the extra topping. Don't you want it? And you charge for toppings. Don't you want? Here's this delicious pepperoni pizza, but wouldn't it be better with sausage as well?
Nice.
Some beef, just throwing extra stuff on there.
Do you think when the game goes free to play, the microtransactions will hurt it in the long term?
I don't know. Again, it's one of those things where I'm just always kind of worried about microtransactions in general. Like, I'm hearing about certain single player games getting microtransaction stuff. Like Shadow of War is gonna have loot boxes.
Yep.
And that's a single player game.
What are the
online stuff?
Sorry, Chichen. What are the microtransactions for in Fortnite?
It's for schematics and squad members that you put on like points and stuff like that, and you can send them out to do missions and stuff.
So it's actually
get
it's beneficial.
Yeah, it's not cosmetic. Everything seems to be like actual things so far, and like I think you can find like you do get a loot box at the end of every game, which is nice. But there's like special loot boxes that you also get.
Right, I see.
So it's a bit weird. Not sure how I feel about it, but I do like the system at the end where it's like, depending on how well you personally did in the game, you get a better loot box.
That is kind of nice. Cool. Yeah.
I wish games like Overwatch would do that, but
right. Then maybe people wouldn't rat each other out as much.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've noticed, my wife watches your stream too, the Sunny D. We've been watching it here, I don't know, for a couple of months, and I don't know where this came from, if this is something you've ever done before, but out of the blue, you did this thing during your Dark Souls run where you zoom the camera in and did this like real estate commercial.
Oh yeah.
Is that something you've ever done before? Or we just caught it for the first time?
Oh yeah, no, that was the first time I did that, and it's a reference to something.
Okay, do you want to share what that reference is?
It's a reference to a really dumb Tim and Eric sketch.
Oh, okay. It has that low budget feel that I figured it was some kind of satire, or it was like a local reference or something.
It was just a reference to that. It's this dumb thing where basically they're going, Jim, we got a free house for you. It's free real estate. Come get your damn land, Jim. I'm not gonna hold these keys all day. And they just basically go on about that for like a full minute and a half, just screaming at him to come get his free damn land. And it's a commercial just for one guy. And then at the end, it just zooms in and he goes, "It's free real estate."
Oh God! Is this on YouTube?
Yeah. It's from Tim and Eric show. Awesome job. Whatever. Tim and Eric.
Yeah.
Whatever. I forget the whole name of the show.
Well, I just want you to know that you had because we don't know the reference. I watched the show, but I haven't seen every episode, and we were rolling just because it was so WTF. Like where did this come from? You know.
Yeah, it's Tim and Eric, awesome show, good job. That's the name of the show. I'm honestly not the biggest fan of their stuff, but that one sketch is great. I love the idea of commercials for one person.
Right.
I think that's really dumb and great. I don't know.
And you're not overdoing it, because I've seen lots of your streams, and that's the first time I caught it.
We used to make jokes about that all the time, and I just kind of brought it back with that because I found that text and I was like, ooh, I'm gonna do this at least once.
Well, awesome. Good job.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to come up here to the closing of the podcast.
All right.
This will be a transition that'll be edited out. But what one word would you say, or short phrase, I guess, would you say perfectly describes your channel? If you could lock it into that spot, into one little thing.
Put
you on the spot here real quick.
High quality trash. I don't know. Low quality, decent average. I don't know. I'm not good at coming up with description. Suffering.
Suffering for your amusement, right?
Grind souls.
That's all right.
What do you? I don't know.
I think that hits it right on the head, man. You did a good job.
Yeah, grind souls. Yeah.
I'm bad at describing what my channel is. It's bottom of the barrel, but about what you expect.
Wow.
What do you want?
Chichenlol, exactly as bad as you think it is.
Yeah. Okay, so if you remember those months and months back when you first started streaming, like the very first day that you started streaming, if you had a time machine and you could go back to the day before you started streaming, what would you tell yourself? Besides lottery numbers.
Besides lottery numbers. Probably like focus more on like a good default thing while still doing like the variety stuff. Because I think I'd probably be doing maybe slightly better if I just focus more on like that one thing for a while, because it does like drive you insane to focus on one thing forever. So I don't know. I think I wouldn't change a lot because a lot of it's been a lot of a growing experience. But then again, going back and being like, yo, if you do this, this would go better is also, smart. But I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like a lot of it I wouldn't change, but a lot of it I could benefit. Like, I don't know exactly what I would say because there's not a lot I've really changed. Like a lot of the stuff is like very similar to how I started. Like the only thing that's really changed is how much I talk and like the confidence behind how I talk. I don't think that's something I could really just tell myself,
Yeah, exactly.
Or you wouldn't listen if you did, right?
Hmm?
Or you wouldn't listen to yourself if you did tell yourself.
Yeah. Like a lot of it was just like, hey, do that. And I'd be like, no, I'm good.
What do you know, future me? Go to hell.
Yeah, kind of.
So, part of the reason that we're doing this podcast is to help grow the community and help introduce, our fans to you, your fans to us. If there's some people listening to this podcast right now who've never seen your stream, what would you tell them about you and your stream to entice them to come check it out for the first time?
I do a lot of the Souls things and I'm okay at them. I do the high quality stream. I do other things. I talk about JoJo. I talk about a lot of things. Like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, what do you want to say about your channel? I'm like, I don't know. I'm a variety / Dark Souls caster. Hey, come on down. I do a lot of challenges. I'm very okay at them.
There you go.
You sound like a radio disc jockey now. That's awesome.
Come on down. I do all these crazy things. Whoa.
Oh, God. Yeah.
So one thing I didn't ask you, what is JoJo for idiots like me who don't get references?
It's a manga / anime that I like a lot, that everyone should go give a chance. But if they stop on the first 2 episodes, that's a mistake because that thing constantly changes. It's one of those things where it's like, yeah, it is. It's one of those things where like the main cast constantly changes. Like every part's a different main cast, a different main villain, different like area. Like it goes from starting in like 1890s, 1880s London to like suddenly 1940s America. And then the next part is all across the world from Japan to Egypt. The next part is specifically in Japan. The next part is in Italy. Part 6 is in Florida. Like it's all over the place. And it keeps going further and further over time. And I really enjoy it. It's a wacky but also like somewhat serious show. Like it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's goofy. Oh, that's horrific. Okay. This is serious now. Oh, okay.
The way you're describing it reminds me a bit of Nier Automata.
It kind of like in terms of like how it does things. It's never like Nier is constantly kind of about like depression and nihilism and like finding meaning in the world and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like some of the ideas of Nier are things like your friend, like you come back when you die in that game, like everyone does because you're an android and they just store your memories. There's a point where a certain character doesn't have enough time to store all of their memories back. And this is very early on. This is not like spoilers or anything. And then they come back, but they don't remember everything, so they aren't like the same character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're like an earlier copy or something.
Yeah, and then they're trying to form like new things with that person to kind of get that feeling back. So that's always very interesting. Where JoJo's more about like the ideas of villains and characters that are really well like thought out. Like there's a character in JoJo Part 4. And this is the main villain, and their whole thing is that they are a hand fetishist. Okay. And they are also a serial killer. So I think you can see where this is going.
Yeah,
but their whole thing is that like every other villain in JoJo is so over the top, and they want to rule the world, and they want to do these crazy ass things, right? Where this guy just like, no, I just want to live a quiet life. I just want to cut off people's hands and live a quiet life. And it's like, oh.
Wow.
He doesn't care about anything other than himself. He just wants that. You know what I mean? And that's interesting as a villain.
Check that one out. That's insane.
Because it's not like, oh, I'm evil for the sake of being evil, or oh, I have this reason or a good reason. Like I'm not like he's not an anti-hero, he's not a super villain, he's just a serial killer. That doesn't
JoJo.
JoJo's JoJo Bizarre Adventure.
How did you come across this?
From the Super Best Friends Play channel. They're actually if there's someone who has inspired me, it's been that channel a lot. Okay. They're a YouTube, and also they've done recently they've gone more into Twitch. They each have their own channels because it's a group of people. And they got me into a lot of stuff. They got me into Dark Souls. They got me into Demon Souls. They got me into a lot of stuff.
Holy cow.
They got me into Nier. Like they have like that's where I learned a lot of this stuff from. Gurren Lagann, Monster. Like if they've recommended something, like I've generally gone, yeah, let's check this out because they've proven me right so far.
They're about 1,000, right?
Yeah, like every time it's like, oh, you guys have good taste. All right, our tastes are lining up. Let's go check this stuff out. So,
well, speaking of you, what inspired you, what got you started? Where does the name Chichenlol come from?
Mostly just a joke because I had a friend back. When was this? I think it was like early high school who didn't know how to spell chicken.
Oh no. Oh.
And I thought that was kind of funny because I was letting them try out World of Warcraft and they ended up naming a character similar to like Chichen. Like they just wrote Chichen. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, chicken. And I was like,
oh.
And I honestly just thought that was really funny. I was like, yeah, okay. And I just kind of did that as like a joke for it. I don't know. I thought it was funny.
No, that was funny. It's a good one.
Not really much of a story or anything, but
sometimes the best and the funnest jokes are the inside jokes amongst you and your friends. It's how a lot of stuff gets started.
I haven't talked to that person anymore, but still, I think it's funny.
You should just email that person out of the blue. By the way,
I don't know their email. It's been so long.
Yeah, World of Warcraft friends. Sometimes they're hard to keep a hold of.
No, this is an actual friend in real life.
Oh, okay.
This was a person I knew that I was letting like try out the game. You know what I mean? And they just named that character that. So.
Well, I think we've about run out of time. We've actually gone a little bit over, but that's great. I appreciate you being here. Thank you, Chichen, for joining us, and thank you to the people out there listening. Chichen, are you on Twitter, or is there, other than coming to your channel on Twitch, is there anybody to chat with you?
At Chichenlol on Twitter. I also have a Discord if people want to join that, which you can probably find on my channel or on my Twitter. I have a YouTube that I don't use.
So be sure to check that out, right?
You go check that out for sure for the inevitable maybe video that might eventually happen. Maybe I don't know.
It's gonna be great. You've been working on it so long, right?
Yeah, man. I don't know. I'm like again the whole editing thing. Like I have one video on that channel, and it's me killing Frida SL1 in DS3. And like that was like the one time where I went, wow, this took way too long to edit. And then I just stopped. And I was like, I don't know. The main also reason that I don't like doing that is because like if I did upload like my Twitch stuff, I do listen to a lot of music, and some of that might have issues with YouTube and
they'll block it out. But even Twitch
yeah, like Twitch only does that in VODs though, and like that is like a thing I have to deal with. Like again, I try to make sure that most of my music doesn't activate it. That's why a lot of my stuff is video game music.
I've noticed. Yeah, that's a great idea.
But the other thing is that like sometimes I'll be listening to a band and like 90% of their stuff is fine except for like 5 songs, and that drives me insane.
Oh yeah.
Because it's like, okay, what 5 songs are activating this thing? And I just have to go through that, and
there's probably not a good way to go figure it out either.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. Like I don't know, it's cool. Like I understand why they do it and it makes sense, but still it's one of those things where it's like, oh, what song was it?
They don't want to get sued.
I've luckily only had one highlight I've ever made get muted, and that was, I believe that was SL1 Surlon in DS2 DLC.
Oh wow, I don't remember that. I didn't do the DS2 DLC, that's why I don't remember.
It's a samurai dude. He's really fast. But basically, that one fight, I think, It was either Highway to Hell or something turned on, like came on, and that got it muted. Highway Star, Highway Star, nailed it, got it. I was thinking Highway. I'm like, wait, shit.
There's like 400 songs that say Highway in them.
Yeah. I was like, no, it's a JoJo stand name. Come on, I know this.
Well, now I have more crap to watch, and I don't have time to watch it.
Oh yeah, another thing that can sell people on JoJo is that like there's stands in that, which are basically characters' superpower manifest kind of thing, spirit, whatever. Anyway, they're all named after like rock songs. They're named after Queen songs, Prince songs, AC/DC songs, album names. There's ones that are like Another One Bites the Dust, Killer Queen, Sheer Heart Attack, Crazy Diamond, Highway Star, Echoes, like Pink Floyd stuff. There's so much. It's kind of crazy. David Bowie stuff.
How many seasons are they up to now?
They just finished the season, part 4, which I guess is season 4. And they're gonna be doing 5 soon. Like, again, the manga's way farther ahead because gotcha. But still, go read it as well. It's good.
All right, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check it out.
Catch us here next time. Follow us on Twitch. You can find myself at Cherry Cake TV and Crunky at Crunky with 2 N's. Follow us on Twitter. We also have at GLY Podcast for this particular podcast. Rate, like our podcast as well if you would be so kind.
Lurk Yourself podcast is produced by Crunky and Cherry Cake. Editing for this episode was done by Crunky. Music for this episode was produced by Crunky as well. Thanks for listening. Catch you next time.